Yeah, I guess you did.
But to show you how important this was and how the networks were so thoroughly disappointed over what happened, imagine this. So what they do is they play about 1 minute of her announcement. And they say, oh, it's just a bunch of chemicals. Who cares about that? That has to be in the minds of the producers and directors of this cable networks. They cut away so fast. You can't believe how fast they cut away. It was like, yeah,
heavens to Murgatroyd, exit stage left.
Exit stage left. Maybe they were using bad words, nasty words. Arsenic? Oh, my heavens. Is that all it was? Or as they say in that old song, is that all there is, my friend? Maybe we should get the booze and have a ball.
It would be monumental if they found arsenic as the base ingredient of life on this planet. Because as we all know, we're a carbon-based, planet here, and arsenic as a basic component of life would be a big deal.
I think the more important thing to consider also is, as an alternative, all that means is that life can take on a greater number of forms. You don't have to look for life as we know it. It may mean that what we know about life is so limited, it can come in all sorts of forms. So-called Goldilocks planets may only be a small cross-section of what might happen, or where life might be found. Not just the Goldilocks planet, but all sorts of planets that we would consider hostile to our form of life. And I think of that segment in the movie Contact with Jodie Foster. And finally, she's about to meet E.T. And E.T. masquerades as her dad because its true form would be beyond her understanding.
No.
But that also raises the larger picture about UFOs. If UFOs are ET, maybe, again, they're showing us something, a projection, whatever, because we are not capable of understanding who they really are or what they really are.
Yeah. Got to hand it to Sagan. That was a real interesting and well thought out plot twist.
The most important part of it, though, is he left it ambiguous, or at least the movie was ambiguous. I can't say so much about the book. I didn't read the book. I saw the movie, and they left it in a way that perhaps maybe she dreamed this. It may have been some kind of dream event. It didn't have to be a physical contact with an alien being.
Yeah. Well, that just I think there's a moral to the story, and that is if the government claims they have a huge earth-shattering announcement, bring your blocks of salt.
Well, if they're going to do it, they could have basically made this announcement without all this pomp and circumstance, because what it means is that all your expectations of some significant development that affects everyone would be dashed. Now, yeah, if E.T. is here and they admit that, that's very important. If they say, well, E.T. may come in many forms, okay, but if we don't discover that form, them, the intelligent species using that chemical makeup, it's just the first step in a long, long journey.
Yeah. Yep, that's true. I still am wondering where mushroom spores and mushrooms come from. They're unlike any other life form on the planet. And, of course, mushroom spores have been found to be able to withstand the rigors of space, radiation, vacuum, that sort of thing. So, I think there are other candidates on the planet that deserve, I think, more scientific inquiry. And I think Terence McKenna was the one that came up with the idea that perhaps transpermia exists on the planet already in the form of mushroom spores. Of course, he was particularly fond of the psychoactive form of mushrooms, but it just kind of goes to show that there's a big universe out there, and we really don't know that much, and we can't assume anything.
So instead of a movie about aliens called Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, it might be a movie called Attack of the Rotten Mushrooms?
No, the trippy shrooms.
Okay. Well, certainly now more and more science has to admit that life out there may just be more and more complicated than they expect. But isn't that the way of all discoveries? The more we learn, it's like almost logarithmic. We discover one fact which leads to a million more.
Right. Yeah, that's the art of asking creative questions. They tend to lead to more creative questions.
And in the end, well, if UFOs are ET, there's still a lot to learn, a lot to discover. But again, we're still hearing the nonsense from the so-called exopolitics people. I gather we're probably anticipating this would be it, this would be the revelation. But I think NASA would be a poor agency for that. You'd want something higher up. I don't know. In any case, rather than focus on the possibilities of ET today, I gather we're going to focus, Chris, on ET way back when, whether they came amongst us, maybe they're still here. Tell us about our guest.
Well, Gary David, I've known for a number of years now, and I first became aware of him through his book called The Orion Zone, which is a form of inquiry into ancient southwestern United States cultures that looks at it from a naked eye astronomy, sort of archaeoastronomy point of view. And what Gary discovered is quite fascinating, that all your main sacred sites, villages, and ceremonial areas in the Southwest are mirroring the constellation Orion on the ground. So if you look at a map of all these ancient Hopi sites, popularly known as Anasazi, which is just a made-up term by science, these Hopi villages and sacred sites are arrayed in a perfect mirror image of the constellation Orion. And we're going to get into that today with Gary David, because the implications could be thought-provoking.
The guest is Gary David. The co-host is Chris O'Brien. I'm Gene Steinberg, the whatever, and you're in
the Paracast.
As you know, the Paracast is brought to you by Audible.com, the Internet's leading provider of audiobooks. With more than 75,000 downloadable titles across all types of literature and featuring audio versions of many New York Times bestsellers. For listeners of the Paracast, Audible.com is offering a free audiobook to give you a chance to try out their service. One book to consider, for example, is Above Top Secret, the Worldwide UFO Cover-Up by Timothy Good. Timothy Good, as you know, has been a guest on the Paracast. Yet another book worth considering from Audible.com is Lies and Deception, UFOs and the Secret Agenda, from Timothy Good once again, and also from our old friend Nick Pope. As you know, Nick Pope has also been on the Paracast. This is another book that you're definitely going to want to check out. For this book or another free audiobook of your choice, go to audiblepodcast.com/Paracast. That's audiblepodcast.com/Paracast.
Have you ever felt like the United States government knows way too much about your financial affairs? I continue to hear stories about property seizures, frozen bank accounts, confiscation of stocks and bonds. It makes me wonder if the U.S. citizen will ever again have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Unfortunately, with the Drug and Money Laundering Act, the IRS Revenue Ruling 6045 of 1984, and the Trading with the Enemy Act and Franklin D. Roosevelt's Executive Order of 1933, some precious metal holdings are subject to government intervention. For this reason, Midas Resources has prepared a report explaining the boundaries of trading precious metals privately. Whether if you have any intention of trading with Midas Resources or not, I have instructed my representatives to give this report out free. Call for your free copy at 1-800-686-2237. When investing, always proceed with caution. Again, call 1-800-686-2237. Exercise your legal right to trade metals privately. 1-800-686-2237.
Hi, this is Alex Jones. You've heard me talk about the delicious, easy-to-fix, and very storable foods from eFoodsDirect.com. I've told you for years that eFoods Direct has the best storable food on the planet. Now it's that time of year again, and their holiday special is here. They have 2 holiday price packs for you to put into your reserves for a secure future or to share with others. The first is a 6-month bulk supply in 10 cans. And the second is a 5-week supply of quick and easy-to-fix meals, including delicious bakery items shipped in heavy tote bags. Now, for a limited time, when you order 2 or more of these special holiday packs, you'll get free shipping on your entire order. Call now, 800-409-5633, or visit them at eFoodsDirect.com/Alex. That's 800-409-5633, or eFoodsDirect.com/Alex.
Question: what would you rather drink? Acidic water, which burns holes in your body and causes loss of bone mass, or alkaline water, which promotes high energy and vibrant health? The answer is clear. And if you're drinking acidic water, you're helping cancer cells and bacteria to grow out of control. AlkaVision Plasma pH Drops combine a unique formula of the most alkaline minerals. Using Plasma pH Drops is the best way to alkalize your water and help you get rid of acid and regain your health and energy. Simply put 10 drops in the water you drink to raise the pH to a healthy alkaline level. Most experts agree that the water you drink should be at a pH level of 8 or higher. Disease organisms like bacteria, viruses, or cancer cannot survive in an alkaline high pH environment. Order your bottle of AlkaVision Plasma pH Drops now by going directly to alkavision.com. That's ALKA Vision.com, or by calling 269-409-1776. Again, 269-409-1776.
On air, online, and on demand. We are the GCN Radio Network.
We want to hear from you. If you have a comment or question about the Paracast, send it to news@theparacast.com. That's news@theparacast.com. And don't forget to visit our famous Paracast community forums at forum.theparacast.com. Get in on all the action at forum.theparacast.com.
We introduce Gary David. The co-host is Chris O'Brien. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in the Paracast. And we're going to look at the ancients, the star people, and ancient prophecies. Now, Gary, I want to welcome you first to the Paracast. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Gene. Good to be here.
Okay, so you have become fascinated by the American Southwest for, 23 years or so now. So why did this interest arise? How did it focus on the things that we're going to talk about?
Okay, I've lived in Arizona for about 15 years, in northern Arizona. And before that time, I lived in South Dakota, and I taught on the Pine Ridge Reservation and witnessed some of the ceremonies there, and this, especially the Sundance, and did some sweat lodges there, and got involved with the Lakota Sioux in South Dakota. And I met with a woman named Charlotte Black Elk, and she was the great-granddaughter of the famous Nicholas Black Elk that wrote the classic Black Elk Speaks. And at that time, she was talking about how constellations in the sky, they relate on the Earth to certain points especially in the Black Hills, which is the center of Lakota Sioux spirituality. And she was talking about a huge constellation made up of Orion's Belt and the Pleiades and Sirius. And this was a celestial buffalo that was projected on various points on the Earth. And
so a celestial buffalo, what do you mean by that?
The buffalo, of course, is very important to the Lakota Sioux. It was the mainstay of their diet, and it was basically part of their godhead. There was a spiritual being that sacrificed itself for the people, and they wanted to. They saw a huge buffalo in the sky. The backbone of this buffalo was Orion's Belt. The nose of the buffalo were the Pleiades in Taurus, and the tail of the buffalo was Sirius in Canis Major. So this huge celestial buffalo that related to certain points on the Earth that they made migrations to during the course of the year. And they made this huge circular migration route around the Black Hills, going to these specific places on the Earth, doing certain ceremonies like the Sundance at specific places at specific times. So their whole cosmology was connected, that idea of as above, so below, that Hermetic dictum that Trismegistus Hermes was said to speak many thousands of years ago in Egypt. They had that same sort of idea that the celestial was directly influencing events on Earth. and the places on the earth. So this was the first inkling that I had of this kind of archaeoastronomy, this idea that the ancient people saw the stars in a way different than we do today. Of course, they didn't have telescopes. It was all naked eye astronomy. And they had a kind of a spiritual connection to the stars and the star people that came to Earth. So, it's a totally different way of looking at the heavens. And this was the first that I had thought about this. And I came down to northern Arizona, and I settled here, and I started going to some Kachina dances up on the Hopi Reservation. I had... I was driving along I-40 going up towards the 3 Hopi mesas where the Hopi still live, and I was gazing off to the northeast and considering these 3 mesas, and I had just read the book by Robert Bauval called The Orion Mystery, and probably your listeners will be familiar with this book. It's the major premise of the book is that the 3 pyramids on the Giza Plateau correspond to the belt stars of Orion. And
so in ancient times, they were looking to astronomical evidence to develop these things, to build these great archaeological creations. They wanted the sky, the earth to mirror the sky because they saw, they saw gods in the heavens. Osiris was the god of the underworld was connected with the constellation Orion, and they wanted to honor this god by placing these pyramids in this particular pattern. The smallest pyramid is sort of offset. The one, when you look at Orion, it's on the right side, and it's kind of offset from the other 2. And this was a deliberate an attempt to make the earth and the sky match. And, I was driving up to the Hopi mesas, and I realized that, the Hopi live on 3 primary mesas. They've lived there since about 1100 AD or maybe a little bit before that, building these pueblos on top of and at the base of the mesas. And I was wondering if this might be another Orion correlation like the one in Egypt. And I sort of put that in the back of my mind and went up to the Hopi mesas and saw a dance there at one of the villages. And then I came back and I got out my sky charts, and I got out the map and looked at the ancient villages that the Hopi had made and the villages they are currently living in, and found out that there was a village or ancient ruin corresponding to each major star in the constellation Orion. And this really astounded me. It's just amazing that there'd be this direct sky-Earth correlation. And they somehow built a kind of a template and spread it across the Arizona desert in the form of the constellation Orion. Okay, so one looks for cause, okay? Is it because they're just emulating what they see in the skies and the heavens, or because there's a larger picture that's being considered here?
Well, I think it's my understanding that Orion is the most important constellation for the Hopi. It synchronizes their winter solstice ceremony. The Hopi have these ceremonies in kivas, which are underground prayer chambers. They descend into the earth and they do their ceremonies down there. But there's a hatchway overhead from which you can see the sky. And when Orion comes into view in this hatchway, that's a signal to start the winter solstice ceremony. So the stars and the sun are connected in that way.
So they're showing basically seasonal changes. We'll get into more of this in a moment. Our guest is Gary David. We're talking about the ancients, the prophets, star peoples, prophecies, all that stuff. The co-host, Chris O'Brien. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in
the Paracast.
Ray Perkins, a reclusive veteran burned out from the Gulf War, lives tortured by relentless, perplexing nightmares. Nightmares of a horrific battle in deep space and of a mysterious woman suffering in agony for her devastated world. A woman not yet born, calling across centuries to him. Then, a coincidence leads him to his destiny, his chance to alter the universe. Attack of the Rockoids. The former fiction editor for Star Wars and Indiana Jones, Robert Simpson, writes, "The soul of the novel Attack of the Rockoids lies in its heart and passion for building a convincing tale of a love that spans the galaxy. A thrilling story. Attack of the Rockoids is available now. Read a sample chapter and get a special discount off of the cover price at our website, rockoids.com. That's ROCKOIDS.com. Attack of the Rockoids, a novel in the grand science fiction tradition."
You worry. We do too, so that's why we made the new ofthefield.com website. New features include the ability to grow and expand, the Free Foragers Forum, and an ultra-secure e-commerce platform. And now, extended until Sunday night, December 12th, take 10% off on everything in our Learning Resources area by using the coupon code NEWSITE. That's NEWSITE, no spaces. With this new platform, it is our commitment to serve the foraging community with questions, tips, tricks, and advice freely asked for and given by all. In these times, the strong and principled must stick together, share information, and form bonds stronger than any food tyranny. Wild food is both free to own and free to take, and together we can keep it that way. So go to ofthefield.com and use coupon code NEWSITE or call 888-51-EAT-FREE and give the gift that gives for life. That's ofthefield.com or call 888-51-EAT-FREE. All of nature's bounty lies at your feet.
Where have all the military surplus stores gone? Don't worry, you don't need one, because everything you need at Military Surplus is at MaineMilitary.com. That's M-A-I-N-E Military.com, one of the last surviving true military surplus stores in the country. Go online now to MaineMilitary.com and discover a source for hard-to-find surplus items at true surplus prices. Surplus gun cleaning kits as low as $2.99. Complete chemical suits as low as $11.99. See our huge selection of gas masks, filters, and accessories. Finish and M10 gas masks are 3 for $30, and Swiss filters are 3 for $12. Searching for Strike Anywhere matches? MaineMilitary.com has them, plus a whole new product line of survival and first aid kits and lots more. Get free shipping on orders over $50 only at MaineMilitary.com. That's M-A-I-N-E Military.com, or call 877-608-0179, 877-608-0179. MaineMilitary.com, the main name in military supply.
Forget everything you've been told about long-term food storage. When all hell breaks loose, you'll need the single most effective way to get high-powered Delta Force nutrients to your family fast. Like any Special Forces commando, you need a plan. You need a Black Hawk Down food plan. Introducing the Survival Sprout Bank from Solutions from Science. It's your countertop survival garden. Yes, grow fresh greens right on your countertop in just a few short days. Sprouts are the green shoots that emerge from newly germinated seeds, and they are powerhouses of living, easily absorbed nutrients. The Survival Sprout Bank is a complete kit with nothing else to buy. And with sprouts so easy to grow, even children can grow emergency food. Call 877-327-0365 or go to survivalsproutbank.com. That's 877-327-0365 or order online at survivalsproutbank.com. Survival Sprout Bank, your Black Hawk Down emergency food plan.
America's #1 source for independent talk radio for over a decade. We are the GCN Radio Network.
This is Kurt Sutherland, the author of UFO Mysteries, and you're listening to the Paracast.
We have Chris O'Brien as our co-host once again. He keeps doing it. He's going to continue to do it till he gets it right, but he tells me the same thing. He says, Gene, you've been a broadcaster for what, 2 decades of your life? When are you going to figure out how to turn it from a practice to a profession? And I say to him, speak for yourself. No, we're kidding. Chris is a good person, and the reason that he tolerates me is because he's about 130 miles or 150 miles away, and he can't just come over and beat me up or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah, something like that. I think the three of us now are arranged in a Orion configuration. Gary's just over the hill in Prescott.
And we are talking with Gary David, The Focus, Prophecies, Star People, all sorts of great stuff. Chris O'Brien, pursue this, please.
Gary, I'm really thoroughly enjoying your latest book that just came out, The Kivas of Heaven. You were starting to describe the importance of the kiva in the people's everyday and seasonal beliefs and the way that they actually use the position of stars and the position of the sun to dictate very important aspects of their life. When they plant, when they go ahead and harvest, and when they do their particular ceremonial dances, their kachina dances. Why don't you continue with your description of the importance of the kiva and how this has really given you some clues on how to proceed with your work?
Oh yeah, thanks, Chris. In the Western civilization, we tend to build spires piercing the sky and going upward. But the Hopi and other Pueblo people, they went downward into the earth as a source of spirituality. And they built these. The first kivas were actually round. You can see these at places like Chaco Canyon in New Mexico. They built a lot of kivas there. The Hopi later on started to use rectangular kivas, but the function is basically the same, and it has certain elements. All the kivas have certain elements. For instance, there's an overhead hatchway that I mentioned before, and you crawl down into the kiva through a ladder, and there are like a fire pit in the middle, and there's a kind of a ventilation shaft for wind to feed this fire pit. And then there's what's called a sipapu. It's a little hole in the floor, and it's kind of symbolic of a link to the underworld. And I conceptualize it as kind of a Native American subway system, kind of a spiritual subway system that you go down through this sipapu, and every kiva has one, and you go down into the underworld through this hole. It's kind of like a wormhole that links you to the underworld. So,
and this is really important. This is important to them too, because in the southwestern tradition of the Pueblo peoples, the idea of the sipapu, or the place of emergence, is extremely important. This is where the natives are led underground just before the earth is going to cleanse itself, and they're protected underground while this process is occurring, and then Creator allows them to re-emerge back into this world. So that is your direct link between the modern version of the sipapu and how it symbolically is extremely important for the survival of the people. I guess that was a question.
Yeah, there's an actual geological formation in the Grand Canyon, and it's called the Sipapu or Sipapuni. It's actually a travertine dome. It's a kind of a limestone formation. It's probably 75 feet in diameter, and there's a hole right in the center of it. It is said that the Hopi emerged from this particular spot. It's located on the north bank of the Little Colorado River, just before it flows into the Colorado River in the Grand Canyon. And it's said that the Hopi emerged from this hole from what they call the Third World. That's the previous era or world that they lived in. And they came up through this hole, and they crawled out of the Grand Canyon and began to populate the Colorado Plateau. So this is an actual, place that you can see it on Google Earth. It's clearly visible. You can see this dome with a hole in the center of it, and The Hopi used to make pilgrimages to this place to gather ritual salt. And in fact, they call Grand Canyon Salt Canyon rather than Grand Canyon. But this is this is symbolized in the kiva itself. This link to the underworld, the prior existence that the people had. And it's interesting to note that the Hopi consider, after death, they go back to this subterranean place, this underworld, to live an existence there. And in some cases, they come out of the underworld and form clouds, and this cloud spirits, I guess you'd call it, and they come back to the Hopi mesas to bring rain to the people. But it's just an amazing cosmology that's totally different than the way Western civilization looks at the world. It's amazing, sky, earth, underworld, this tripartite construction of the cosmos.
I wanted to look, Gary, perhaps at inspirations here, sources of inspiration. So what is it that you think might have inspired these concepts? Just observing the skies and pondering what it all means, or something more direct?
Well, I mentioned the template on the Arizona desert that mirrors the constellation Orion. And there's a god named Masau. It's the god of the underworld. He's also the god of the earth and the god of fire. Some Hopi don't like to talk about Masau because he's a rather spooky-looking character. He has a large round eyes and a round mouth, and his head is very large and bulbous, kind of it's bald. And the texture resembles a summer squash, kind of bumpy. And his feet are very long, and his forearms are long, and his body is gray. And he's connected with death, the underworld, and very kind of frightening things. So that's why some Hopi won't even talk about Masau at all. The word Masau, the root of the word is mas, which literally means gray. And if you look at, artists' renditions of this
Wait a minute. The word mosque means gray?
No, mas, M-A-S.
Oh, mas. I was saying mosque. Why is he talking about? I'll tell you what. I have a lot to learn about ancient prophecies and ancient history, as we know. I am a professor of ignorance, as I plead to many people. If you have comments, by the way, about the Paracast, go to forum.paracast.com. Forum.paracast.com. Join up, participate. You're able to basically pose questions for guests of future shows. Talk amongst yourself. Enjoy the fun. We're having fun with Gary David, talking about the ancients in all their glory. And one more thing. We have a newsletter, neighbors. To learn more about it, go to newsletter.theparacast.com. Once again, that's newsletter.theparacast.com. We give you updates on the current and future shows, and I have a special editorial each and every week, one of my fearless editorials, as a matter of fact. Once again, that's newsletter.theparacast.com. The co-host is Chris O'Brien. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in
The Paracast.
Fate magazine provides true reports of the strange and unknown. Keep up with the latest on angels and miracles, psychic phenomena, ghosts, UFOs, life after death, and much, much more. To receive your free issue of Fate magazine, call now at 1-800-728-2730 or visit their website at www.fatemag.com. That's 1-800-728-2730. What are you waiting for? Your fate awaits.
Hi, Hi, this is Tamar from Namecheap. We're a domain name and web hosting company, and we really care about our customers. With domain name purchases, Namecheap offers free SSL and free WhoisGuard for a year to protect your identity from spammers. Most importantly, we care about you. If you'd like to learn more, please visit us at radio.namecheap.com, radio.namecheap.com for web hosting and domain name specials. You can also follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/Namecheap or become a fan of ours on Facebook at facebook.com/Namecheap. See you online.
I'm concerned about food for my family in the event of an emergency, and I know you are too. Are you ready? Don't wait for an emergency to happen. Put a plan together now with quality dehydrated food from Ready Reserve Foods. For nearly 40 years, Ready Reserve Foods has been in continuous operation, canning the finest in dehydrated foods. Other companies just broker canned foods. Ready Reserve is the manufacturer, controlling quality from start to finish with double enameled cans and nitrogen packing for maximum shelf life. Ready Reserve offers a balanced selection of fruits, vegetables, dairy products, proteins, and grains. Choose from a variety of pre-selected units or order by individual can to customize your own plan. When you purchase from Ready Reserve Foods, you are buying factory direct at wholesale prices. Call today for a free catalog, 1-800-453-2202, or visit ReadyReserveFoods.com. Call 1-800-453-2202. Ready Reserve Foods. Factory direct, wholesale pricing.
Becoming a modern smoker is now easier and more cost-effective, thanks to LeSig. Traditional smokers the world over love LeSig. E-cigarettes with a look, feel, and taste of real cigarettes, but without the nasty smoke, ashes, or stains. LeSig is powered by revolutionary microelectronic technology. A small rechargeable battery and unique replaceable cartridge provide all the satisfaction and benefits of smoking without the smoke and all the hazards. See the large variety of LeSig e-cigarette supplies and accessories at LeSig.com. That's LECIG.com. LeSig is competitively priced, comes with the best customer service, a 30-day warranty, and satisfaction guaranteed. What a great gift idea. For a 10% discount, mention GCN when you call 870-518-4307. That's 870-518-4307. Ask for fast, free same-day shipping. Order online at LeSig.com and use promo code GCN at checkout. That's LECIG.com. LeSig, for today's modern smoker.
It's the winter cold and flu supplement sale at HerbalHealer.com. Take advantage of Herbal Healer Academy's incredible savings on the best cold and flu supplements available. Many of you know elderberry is exceptional against viral infections. Right now, Herbal Healer Academy has Elderberry Power, regularly priced at $16.95, now incredibly low at only $10 for 60 vegetarian caps. For children and seniors, our Herbal Healer Academy Flew Away Elderberry Liquid is only $13 for a 4-ounce bottle. Also on super sale, olive leaf capsules, oregano oil plus capsules, and our incredible Respirate formula, Oregacillin Physician Strength capsules for your lungs. Normally $34.95, now just $25. Hit the winter specials link at HerbalHealer.com for these cold and flu supplement specials and other on-sale products like apple cider vinegar, brain power, and neuro recovery. New customers get a free catalog with your first order. Log on and hit the winter specials now at HerbalHealer.com.
Are you tired of searching for great talk radio?
Something more important.
Search no more. We are the GCN Radio Network.
You're in the Paracast. You never know what's going to happen next.
We return. Chris O'Brien is the co-host. Gary David's the guest. The ancients are under discussion. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in the Paracast. And now Chris will probe further into what all of this might mean.
Well, Gary, I find the descriptions of Masao very, very interesting. You're describing what many people would kind of equate to a taller, skinnier, kind of uglier version of your almost typical gray alien type, although Masao, I think, is much taller in depictions that I've seen. Why don't you continue talking about Masao and how he looks and what your thoughts are on this potential correlation?
Well, that's the first thought that I had when I saw, the artist's rendition of this god. And, it's pretty striking, the fact that his name would mean gray, in Hopi, kind of a death-like pallor, I guess. the Hopi wanted to describe him like. And but Masao has some positive things too. Masao taught the Hopi how to plant corn and live a very simple life using dry farming without irrigation for the most part. So Masao had some good points. He's not just a threatening god. And Masao was there at the beginning when they set off on their migrations at the beginning of the Fourth World. When the Hopi crawled up from the Sipapu out of the Grand Canyon and across the Colorado Plateau and started to migrate, and they started to build villages across Arizona and across the Southwest. And Masao supposedly accompanied them in these very early migrations. And he possibly even told them where to build a particular village, instructed them how to, where to build a pueblo. A pueblo is a kind of like an apartment building made out of stone. One of the first apartment buildings. In fact, in Chaco Canyon, one of the main ancient pueblo sites. Pueblo Bonito was the largest structure in the world until the 1880s, when New York had an apartment complex that they built there in the 1880s in New York. So,
how large are we talking about here?
It was about 800 rooms. It was a massive kind of structure, and there are a number of these pueblos in this. In this canyon. And they started going in Chaco Canyon. The culture really started to get going in around the 10th century. And it's if you've ever been to northern New Mexico, you know how dry and barren it is. There are no rivers nearby. I mean, they built this place seemingly in the middle of nowhere, as we like to say.
It's definitely in the middle of nowhere today.
Yeah, you have to go down a dirt road to get to the park. It's a national park, and once you get to the park, there are paved roads, but you have to go down these pretty rough roads that get washed out frequently, and it's about 20 miles down these dirt roads to get to this site. But there, like I said, there are a number of huge pueblos that were built in this particular canyon. And it's my understanding that, or my belief perhaps, that Masao kind of instructed them to build here, because in the template that I've discovered in the course of a dozen years or so of researching this, I found that Chaco Canyon corresponds to the star Sirius.
Wow, that's pretty important. Now, looking at the map of the area of the Southwest and then overlaying the actual locations of the villages, it almost appears to me that the only way that you could do that and do it to the degree of accuracy that we see is if you were actually up in space viewing the Earth from high above. Do you think that there's a possibility of some sort of ET influence in the actual or some sort of aerial perspective that may have helped the Indians place these important sites where they are today?
Yeah, I definitely think that you had to be up above the Earth in order to get a sense of this whole pattern on the Arizona desert that forms the constellation Orion. And the Hopi have a lot of legends about what they call Pa'atuvota, or flying shields. And these kachinas, which some of your listeners might be familiar with, the kachina dolls, and the Hopi still have kachina dances. These are spirit beings that are come in many different forms. If you go to a kachina dance, you'll see a lot of different weird masks, cylindrical, circular. There's a lot of feathers, and some of these creatures have bug eyes, and some have slits that look like look almost like helmets that are worn by aliens, but these Kachina dancers, they perform these dances in the springtime, and starting about late April, going through past the summer solstice into July, and then they stop having the dances. But these beings that they're commemorating, supposedly in legends, the Hopi said that they piloted these flying shields, and they frequently came down to the mesas, and some of these creatures even took Hopi brides and mated with the women. And much like, in the Bible, you have the watchers coming down from the sky.
Right, and finding the daughters of man fair.
Yeah, the sons of God mating with the daughters of men to produce these Nephilim, or these giants in the earth. And this is essentially, what was going on in the American Southwest. You had these Kachinas coming down. They say that the Kachinas used to come in the flesh. They used to be physical beings, but now they only come in spirit because the society has been corrupted, and the world is basically going to hell.
So basically, these beings are no longer around, and we see just visions of them.
We see, we see they come in the spirit form rather than a physical manifestation.
So that's saying that, therefore, in ancient times, they met up with these physical creatures.
Yes, that came down on these craft, and there's a story that's really touching. There's a pair of twins, a girl and a boy, and they were escaping a great flood, and that sounds familiar too. But they had to leave their village, and the parents in the commotion they left them behind. So the boy and the girl started off on a journey to find the parents. And the first night they camped out in the desert, and they saw a huge flying shield come down and set down on the desert, and this creature came out of it. And this creature is described as having a face that shone like a star. And the creature supposedly had clothing that
Let me interrupt you for a second, Gary. Shone like a star. Are we saying it glowed?
It emitted some sort of light. The face emitted some sort of light. Maybe, kind of like a spiritual being.
Or a space helmet.
Or a space helmet, yeah. If you want to take you can have this, you go back and forth on whether they were physical or whether they were spiritual, and that's a constant debate, even among ufologists today, whether we're dealing with interdimensional beings or actual physical spacecraft. But, this creature had, clothing that it described as looking like icicles.
And a reminder, if you want to tell us what you think about us, about the show, about the guests, and maybe to suggest some guests for the future, we do welcome your email. We don't consider it spam. We want to hear from you. The address is news@theparacast.com. That's news@theparacast.com. We can't promise we'll answer all the letters, but I assure you we read everything. I'll tell you what, let's talk about the clothing, and let's talk about this vision or experience in more detail in a moment. Gary David joins us. The co-host is Chris O'Brien. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in
The Paracast.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. If you own an Apple iPhone and love to listen to your favorite programs on GCN, I've got good news for you. I'm proud to announce that GCN has a brand new iPhone app available for our dedicated listeners at GCNlive.com. Listen to your favorite hard-hitting GCN programs live or on demand right on your iPhone. And the best part? The GCN iPhone app can be yours absolutely free. Download the iPhone app today by clicking on the banner at GCNlive.com. Again, that's GCNlive.com. We the people people grow cotton, weave fabric, engrave ink, embed strips and fibers to protect from counterfeit, then carting to a private bank, having it lent back at interest, forcing taxes to service debt. This capitalism, or was Jefferson correct when stating a central bank issuing the public currency is a greater menace to the liberties of the people than a standing army? Ted Anderson, I'm placing a free silver dollar in a book that explains our monetary system. Call for your copy, 800-686-2237. It's time to understand the system. Call 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237.
Welcome back to the Paracast, the gold standard of paranormal radio. And now, here's Gene Steinberg.
Hour 2 of the Paracast with Gary David exploring ancient legends and mysteries. Chris O'Brien's the co-host. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in the Paracast. So we're talking about the uniform or garb these creatures wore. Let's go back to that description.
This is kind of like a metaphor, I guess, or the clothing looked like icicles, and to a primitive people who never saw metallic, objects or stuff, they would describe a metallic uniform as looking like icicles, glistening and glinting in the sunlight like icicles would.
Sounds like the creatures that George Adamski saw. Silver uniforms. Michael Rennie from Day the Earth Stood Still landed in ancient times. I'm being silly, but listen to the concept.
It's totally believable, that Native Americans would describe, uniforms like that, silver uniforms, as glistening like icicles. And this creature took these children up into the sky in the flying shield. And they looked out across the earth and they saw the village that their parents had escaped to. And the creature, was a benevolent creature. It gave the children melon to eat and corn. And finally, the saucer or craft sat down right next to the village where the parents had been. And the children got out of the craft and were reunited with the parents. So, this is one instance that a sky god came down and helped these these twins escape peril. So,
Does the legend say that the star god, or whoever he or it was, communicated with them in somehow?
The star god said that he would come later on in their dreams to give them information and to give them ways to live correctly, to live by the ways of the Creator. So there was.
Do we have any sort of time frame on this? Do we have any idea how soon after the emergence that this occurred? Was it fairly early on, or is this something that's more recent?
Well, this must have been very early, but there again, the Hopi are, from my understanding, are never really specific about dates, unlike the Maya, which are very precise about getting specific dates. The Hopi just say it was long ago, or in ancient times, or their whole idea of time is sort of different than the way we conceive of it anyway. So
well, it's actually highly unique. I think they're one of the only cultures that really have no future or past tense in their language. Everything is pretty much an eternal now.
It's you're right. It's in the present, but there's also kind of a mythic time that gets recirculated into, it's a whole cosmology that deals with the cornstalk and the vertical axis of the cornstalk, and how this is kind of like an axis mundi, and time is recycled into this axis when it comes into being, and then it's recycled. I have a picture in my book, The Kivas of Heaven, that kind of a model of the way that Benjamin Whorf, a linguist who studied the Hopi in the 30s, I believe, he came up with the way that the Hopi conceptualized the universe. And I've tried to present a graphic that would show what was happening when time comes into being, and then it gets recirculated into this this source of everything, which is represented by the cornstalk.
Yeah, one thing that I want to point out at this point, too, is in the last few years, I've become more and more involved in researching the Zuni culture, which you could almost equate as being the Hopi's little brothers. And we had Clifford Mahudi, who is an elder of the Zuni tribe, on the program, and he mentioned that there were some uncanny parallels between the Zuni belief system and how it's very, very, very similar, if not exact in some sense, to the Hopi version. So, we're dealing with the two primordial cultures in North America, I think, when you discuss the cosmology of the Hopi and Zuni. Well, why don't you go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, I was going to say that the Hopi and Zuni, they have different languages, of course, but they have similar ceremonies. Like the Hopi have a Shalako Kachina, and it's this very tall Kachina, just like the Zuni have a Shalako, the Shalako ritual in December. And they have these tall beings that go through the plaza. And there's a lot of similarities between Hopi and Zuni because they're not separated by very, very much distance. So they had a lot of interaction, I'm sure, in early times.
Well, this kind of reminds me of some stories that I've heard over the past 5 or 6 years that concern the arrival of flying shields onto the reservation. Most specifically in I guess it would be the northwest corner of the Hopi Reservation, and also just over the border into the Navajo Reservation, where remote hogans or remote dwellings would be visited by these strange beings coming down from the sky. And Tom Dongo, who is a local investigator here in the Sedona area, has interviewed extensively some of these witnesses to these events. And it seems to me, based on these descriptions, that we're seeing some sort of recent ramping up of activity, aerial activity around the reservations. Of course, it's very difficult to go on the res and start asking questions. A nosy white boy in a black cowboy hat doesn't quite get very far. But have you heard any sort of rumblings about a heightened sense of activity and possibly expectation on the reservation?
Well, back in in 1970, in fact, there was kind of a rash of UFO sightings around the town of Prescott, Arizona. And, hundreds of these sightings were seen, and some of the Hopis even came out from the reservation to the town of Prescott and witnessed these things. There's a geological formation in the Prescott area known as Thumb Butte. And Thumb Butte looks like the Devil's Tower that's depicted in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, that same kind of laccolith that comes out of the earth. And, this was kind of a magnet for UFOs during that time. But yes, I've heard that people are seeing more and more sightings in recent times on the reservation around. I read recently an article in the Navajo Hopi Observer about the sighting around Loop, Arizona.
Right, Indian Wells Loop, yeah.
Right, yeah. This craft was. One woman said it was like as big as the school gymnasium. This craft that hovered for over an hour in this area, and multiple witnesses were seeing this. So I think a lot of the elders would say that this is kind of the sign that the fourth world is coming to an end. When you see these constant visitation by these spirit beings or perhaps physical craft, this is a sign that we're getting close to the end of the fourth world.
So if I'm doing a tour up to the Grand Canyon and I see on the cliffs above the Sipapu a bunch of RVs and teepees and tents and stuff, it's time to maybe get my affairs in order and start heading to the Sipapu, huh?
Well, that's the safe area that they say. If you leave the cities and go up to Hopi land, and this is the place that's going to be spared, if anything, between Grand Canyon and the Hopi Mesas. Mm-hmm. This area, so this it might come to that, when the cities collapse and We're out of oil and out of gas and out of food. The Hopi live a very simple life, or at least they try to. It's getting increasingly more difficult to live in the old ways, using the dry farming method and growing corn and so forth.
We kind of changed that in our modern civilization. Gary David's the guest. Chris O'Brien's the co-host. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in
the Paracast.
Is there a secret UFO agenda? Do strange creatures from the darkest corners of the mind roam the earth? Is there evidence for mind control, time travel, or devious government conspiracies? Find out the inside scoop on the latest conspiracies, paranormal activity, and Fortean phenomena when you subscribe to Tim Beckley's Conspiracy Journal. It's jam-packed with stories, special book and DVD promotions, and the best news, it's absolutely free, sent right to your mailbox. Plus, a bonus free email newsletter sent out every Friday. Simply send an email with your name and address to Mr. UFO at webtv.net. That's Mr. UFO at webtv.net. Find out what they don't want you to know.
As many people know, ever since President Nixon took us off the gold standard, the U.S. dollar has been devaluating. What people don't know, however, is how this directly affects your personal finances. Is there a way to protect your portfolios from losing value? The answer to all of this is gold and silver. They both have maintained their purchasing power for 6,000 years. If you had $100,000 in cash and $100,000 in gold and silver back in 1913 and kept them until now, your cash would have the buying power of only $4,800, but your gold and silver would have the buying power of $3 million. The answer to protecting your assets is simple. Call John Ballman today at 1-800-686-2237, extension 169. Get all your questions answered before your money is worth zero. Call 1-800-686-2237, extension 169. Take action today while we still accept paper dollars for gold. That's 1-800-686-2237, extension 169.
What is the number one secret to all your health problems? I'll give you a hint. Dr. Alexis Carroll kept chicken heart tissue alive for 28 years in a test tube. He said the cells remained youthful so long as the metabolic wastes were washed away, but that when wastes were allowed to accumulate in and around the cell would age and then die. So the key to radiant health is cellular cleanliness, and the key to keeping your cells clean of chemicals, free radicals, and heavy metals that we are bombarded with in our society is glutathione. This master antioxidant is required by every cell of the body. Glutathione levels decline due to toxicity and aging. The number one food to replenish your body's glutathione levels up to 64% or more is unheated, grass-fed whey protein powder. This miraculous superfood may do more for your health than any other supplement you've ever taken. To get your free report of the best whey protein powder, call 888-988-3325 or visit oneworldwhey.com. That's oneworld.com.
You worry. We do too, so that's why we made the new ofthefield.com website. New features include the ability to grow and expand, the Free Foragers Forum, and an ultra-secure e-commerce platform. And now, extended until Sunday night, December 12th, take 10% off on everything in our learning resources area by using the coupon code NEWSITE. That's NEWSITE, no spaces. With this new platform, it is our commitment to serve the foraging community with questions, tips, tricks, and advice freely asked for and given by all. In these times, the strong and principled must stick together, share information, and form bonds stronger than any food tyranny. Wild food is both free to own and free to take, and together we can keep it that way. So go to ofthefield.com and use coupon code NEWSITE or call 888-51-EAT-FREE and give the gift that gives for life. That's ofthefield.com or call 888-51-EAT-FREE. All of nature's bounty lies at your feet.
The GCN Radio Network, providing the world with hard-hitting talk radio. GCN. Great talk radio starts here.
We want to hear from you. If you have a comment or question about the Paracast, send it to news@theparacast.com. That's news@theparacast.com. And if you want to catch up on past episodes, we have hundreds of shows for you to download direct from theparacast.com. That's theparacast.com. Or check us out on iTunes.
We have more time to spend with Gary David looking at ancient mysteries. Chris O'Brien's the co-host. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in the Paracast. A couple of things occur to me. When you talk about all these legends, Hopi, Zuni Indians, etc. Now, the Zunis, they transfer data, stories verbally, or basically somebody tells somebody who tells somebody. Does the Hopi do the same thing?
Yeah, the Hopi didn't have a written language. And most of the Pueblo people all of the Pueblo people didn't have anything written, unlike the Maya in Central America and in New Mexico. So it's all kind of legends passed down through the generations. But they do have, rock art or petroglyphs, rock carvings, and rock paintings that you can go to and see some of these. I've seen pictures of what are called ant people. That they've been in the media recently. I noticed the people are talking about the ant people. And I've seen petroglyphs of these, rock carvings of these, right here in Arizona.
Why don't you give us an idea of who the ant people are in their tradition? That's pretty important, I think.
Right, yeah. Well, the ant people supposedly helped the Hopi survive two major cataclysms. The destruction of the first world by fire and the destruction of the second world by ice. The first world destruction might be something like volcanism or an asteroid strike or some major kind of fire event that happened in very ancient times. And the ant people helped the Hopi go into caverns, into subterranean caves, and survive. The second world was destroyed by ice, some kind of major ice age, or a very, very cold period in Earth's history. And the people went down into the caverns. The ant people led them down into these caverns, and they helped them. Sprout beans. Beans are one of the traditional dietary mainstays.
Or hydroponic farms under the earth?
Something like that, yeah, Gene. That's exactly right. In these caverns, you can't grow anything. You have to sprout these beans. And these beans are sprouted to this day in the kivas, in the underground prayer chambers. And they have what's called a bean dance in February to commemorate this time when the ant people helped the Hopi survive in these underground caverns.
What interests me most when we talk about all these legends, Gary, is not just the ubiquity, but the similarity. I mean, we can find talks about disasters, floods, etc., visits by some kind of advanced or higher beings. They're all so similar. It's like they all have this same basic cause. Or do we have loads of higher beings and disasters occurring to different races at different times?
Well, I think there's a cultural similarity because the influence was the same globally throughout the earth. We were being visited by these creatures that are coming down and interacting with humans. One example of this is, the actual word for ant in Hopi is Anu. And the word for friend in Hopi is Naki. So you put the two together, the Anunnaki, the ant friends, help the Hopi. And of course, this is from some Sumerian mythology, the Anunnaki, the sky gods that came down to earth.
Shades of Zechariah Sitchin.
Exactly. Rest his soul, yeah.
Okay, so the ant people come here in ancient times, and we're all talking about these insectoids. And that takes us back to the concept of some of the Greys being a little insect-like in their demeanor or their appearance.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of these cryptozoological creatures in myths, and the Kachinas reflect this today. There are a lot of giant Kachinas in Hopi dance. There are a number of giant kachinas, and in my new book, The Kivas of Heaven, I have a chapter about giants, and especially living in the area I mentioned before, Chaco Canyon, as kind of a center for activity of giants. And these are fierce and terrifying creatures. In fact, they've even found in Chaco Canyon, they've found petroglyphs, rock carvings of footprints with 6 toes on them, and they found handprints with 6 fingers. Now, in the Bible, it says that the giants supposedly had 6 fingers and 6 toes. And they've even found, archaeologists have found in Pueblo Bonito in Chaco Canyon, they found a 6-toed foot bone. So this is not just an imaginary thing that some guy with a stone was just chipping away and thought, well, I think I'll make a footprint with 6 toes. That would be interesting. It was actually probably depicting this human, perhaps a giant, with 6 toes on each foot. So you have these creatures, and Chaco Canyon was a place where they have archaeologists have discovered, looking through the bones that they've unearthed, they have the largest, they were the tallest beings or humans in the area. Not to say that there were 8-foot giants or anything, but they were taller than the rest of the population. The average height of a male in about 1100 AD or 1000 AD was about 5 feet. And they found, skeletons that are a good foot taller than that.
So basically speaking, I'm 6'2". If I went to ancient world and I visited these people, I'm the time traveler.
Yeah, you play center.
Yeah.
I play center, but, I'm a modestly tall guy. They would consider me a giant.
They would, yeah. And, you would probably be revered. And, some of the most elite burial sites are found with these large skeletons. And
so maybe I'm in the wrong place here. Maybe I should get that time machine and go back to the ancient world, and I could live it up. Of course, I might only live to 45 years old or something like that, but
no.
In
fact, Gene, the life expectancy was more like 30 years old.
Right.
And if you lived to 50, you'd be, just really ancient at that time period. So, for late
Dang,
20,
even I feel old. Listen to that.
But the nutrition was different back then. They had a hard time just eating corn, beans, and squash to get the nutritional value, the iron that they needed in the blood. In fact, there's a lot of iron deficiency anemia found in archaeological sites in the Southwest. It's said for the area around Chaco Canyon, it was about 80% of the people had this iron deficiency anemia.
Ray Perkins, a reclusive veteran burned out from the Gulf War, lives tortured by relentless, perplexing nightmares. Nightmares of a horrific battle in deep space and of a mysterious woman suffering in agony for her devastated world. A woman not yet born, calling across centuries to him. Then, a coincidence leads him to his destiny, his chance to alter the universe. Attack of the Rockoids. The former fiction editor for Star Wars and Indiana Jones, Robert Simpson, writes, "The soul of the novel Attack of the Rockoids lies in its heart and passion for building a convincing tale of a love that spans the galaxy, a thrilling story. Attack of the Rockoids is available now. Read a sample chapter and get a special discount off of the cover price at our website, rockoids.com. That's ROCKOIDS.com. Attack of the Rockoids, a novel in the grand science fiction tradition."
We all know that Berkey water purification systems are the most trusted name in water filtration. As an authorized Berkey dealer for over 5 years and serving thousands of satisfied customers, the Berkey Guy offers amazing specials for Berkey water filtration systems. The Berkey Light systems include a set of self-sterilizing and recleanable black purification elements that purify water by removing chlorine, pathogenic bacteria, cysts, and parasites to non-detectable levels and remove harmful chemicals such as herbicides and pesticides. Order the Berkey Light system today, complete with 2 black Berkey elements for only $209, and the Berkey Guy will include 3 sport Berkey water bottles and ship everything to you free of charge. That's right, 3 sport Berkey water bottles and free shipping. An $87 value, yours free. Call the Berkey Guy at 1-877-886-3653. That's 1-877-886-3653. Or order online at GoBerkey.com. That's GoBerkey.com today.
Do you want to get away from additives and preservatives in your food? Need alternatives to conventional food preparation? Do you want to save the fruits of your gardening labor? And are you looking for an excellent gift idea? Then check out the Excalibur Dehydrator. Dehydration is one of the healthiest, most cost-effective, and fun ways to feed yourself and your family. Make healthy snacks like fruit roll-ups and beef jerky. Store healthy food in case of an emergency with no added salts, fats, or preservatives. And save hundreds of dollars by drying it yourself with the Excalibur Dehydrator. The Excalibur Dehydrator comes with an industry-leading exclusive 10-year warranty. And when you order, you'll receive a free book filled with amazing easy recipes, a $25 value free for a limited time. Just mention coupon code GCN. Learn more and order your Excalibur Dehydrator today at drying123.com. That's DRYING123.com. Drying123.com. Or call 1-800-875-4254. That's 1-800-875-4254. Season's greetings and health and wellness from Excalibur Dehydrator.
Hi, I'm here talking with Don Wiskin of HeartDrop.com. I understand that you changed the name of your product, Don.
Yes, we did. It's now Extendivite, meaning to extend your life.
Wow, extend your life. Everybody wants to extend their life. How is it made, Don?
Well, Extendivite is made from herbs gathered from many different parts of the world. We chose 7 of the heart and health-related herbs known to improve your health.
Your heart drops have always kept me from feeling sick or run down, Don. Will Extendivite continue to do the same thing for me?
Yes, it will. All we changed was the name. I'm here because at 42 I had a heart attack and the garlic cayenne drops gave me back my life.
We have been talking with Don Wiskin about his exciting new product called Extendivite. To get your Extendivite, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit his website at heartdrop.com. That's HEARTDROP.com.
On air, online, and on demand. We are the GCN Radio Network.
This is Jacques Vallée. You're listening to the Paracast, the gold standard of paranormal radio.
We have Gary David joining us this week. I'm Gene Steinberg. If you're in the Paracast, Chris O'Brien is our co-host. And we are exploring lots and lots of really interesting stuff because we're talking about legends of sky people, about their presence, and you were talking about this mountain. Let's continue.
Yeah, I was going to drop a bombshell here. It's certainly
please, we need one, because after we had that kind of letdown about having arsenic aliens instead of phosphorus aliens, and that was all it was about, you know.
Well, you know, this was a controversy that came about a decade ago when, this one archaeologist named Christy Turner came up with all this forensic evidence of archaeological sites in the Southwest that showed evidence of cannibalism. He had pretty strong evidence that, bones were chopped up and sawed, human bones were chopped up and sawed and like they were being prepared for food. They even found in a place called Cowboy Wash, which is in southwestern Colorado, they found what's called a coprolite, or a fossilized human feces with human myoglobin in it, which is a protein that's only found in human muscle or heart. So the person who deposited this feces at this site definitely ate human being. So there's some evidence that cannibalism did occur, and perhaps that's why these people at Chaco Canyon had were taller than the rest, because they had a better protein source. It was human protein that they were consuming. Boy. So, and this, of course, this enraged a lot of the Pueblo people, the Hopi people, saying, we weren't cannibals in the ancient past. And I think that's right. That's not part of the Hopi tradition. But it's my understanding, and I think Christy Turner put forth the idea that a group from Mexico migrated north and kind of terrorized the Southwest during this period, during the 11th century, and they took over Chaco Canyon, and it was kind of they gathered tributes of goods and food. And if you didn't comply with their wishes, they ate you. So,
and that's rude.
And thus you have all these Hopi kachinas, which look really fierce. I saw one of these kachinas in a dance up on the reservation, and this really tall being with these huge mouth and these goggle eyes, real bug-eyed kind of creature with this wild hair and these huge teeth, and he was carrying around like a foot-long butcher knife. I mean, this guy is not anyone you want to mess with. So they have these they call giant kachinas that are still depicted at these dances, and so they form part of the Hopi legend. And supposedly they used to carry off children if they didn't do the parents' bidding. They carried off these children and ate them. So you have this kind of grisly side to the legends of.
So if you got an invitation to come over for dinner, you never were quite sure if you were the main course or not.
Well, you had to make sure that you gave enough corn to the rulers, to the elite rulers in Chaco Canyon. So
now, was that something like you tell your kids, listen, if you don't obey mommy and daddy, we're going to send the creatures out to eat you, or do you think there's some basis for some of this?
Well, the Grimm's fairy tales are pretty grisly too. You have these giants and witches eating, children. So, I think this is part of it, just to keep the children in line. But it's a trusted way of child rearing, but kind of out of step to the way we look at child rearing today. But there were these traditions of giants, and they've found. David Childress has written about the Lovelock Cave in Nevada, where they found these red-haired giants that are like 7-8 feet tall in this cave. And supposedly the Paiute Indians, they fought with this giant race. So, these might have been actual creatures that were roaming in the Southwest in ancient times.
Wow. There are quite a few stories about giants in the historical sort of legends and myths of the Southwestern peoples. But one of the things that I've always found quite intriguing myself is that a lot of these stories, and some of our doubters on the Paracast will go, oh, well, this is just a bunch of, it's an oral tradition. Stuff gets twisted and bent out of shape over time, and the stories change. And one thing that I want to remind our listeners is when these medicine societies that are responsible for passing along this sacred knowledge, when they pass it along, it is note by note, word by word, and there is no variation in it. They are taught to memorize these stories and these songs and chants, syllable by syllable, word by word. So,
I still worry about this because I remember, and this is silly for people like you who have been exposed to this, but hear me out. Okay, I remember the test that the late Steve Allen used to do on his TV show, where they tell a joke to 10 people. Number one, here's the joke. He or she repeats it to the next person. After it goes through 10 generations of oral presentation of a very simple joke, the final version has no resemblance whatever to the original. So how do you keep these intact? Can you really train people to follow syllable by syllable for 10,000 years?
Well, Gene, I think it's cultural. Like Chris was saying, that these people, this is part of their culture to be an oral culture. In the written world, this is hard to have the story stay the same. We're used to writing things down for it to be the same.
And with 24/7 cable, you can listen to 3 cable networks and be totally confused because they have all different versions of what really happened.
Oh yeah. But if you write something down in a book, you have, it's kind of set in stone. The ancient people, the Hopis, the Zunis, they didn't have this sort of, they didn't have books. So they had to keep these stories, it was a very precise way of, passing along the stories, passing along the ceremonies in just the right way. If you fail to do a ceremony in the proper manner, that means that it won't rain. That means the corn won't grow. That means that you starve. So
I understand that, but are humans capable of that linear accuracy?
Well, you think back to Homer, the blind poet who was an oral poet. Poets learned that poem, the Odyssey and the Iliad, and they could recite hundreds and hundreds of lines one after another. This tradition, the oral tradition, this was very strong back then, and we've kind of lost how to do this. Our memories are not that great. They used to be much better. We used to be much better at remembering long passages of poetry or literature. But and this was the same. The stories that the ancient people told, the Hopi tell these stories, and of course there are going to be variations. One village will tell the story in a different way, because the Hopi are not monolithic. They're a collection of clans that have come together at this one place, and they call themselves collectively the Hopi, but they all have slightly different versions. I think each clan tries to be very precise in remembering a story a certain way and remembering a ceremony in a certain manner, so they can perform the ceremony and it will be efficacious and will do what it's supposed to do.
We'll get into the ceremonies, the meanings, but more important, the star people and what the prophecies mean, what all this means to us in the present day, in the 21st century, whether there's an impact to our real lives here. We'll have to explore this further. Gary David is the guest. The book is out now, your latest one?
It's called The Kivas of Heaven, Ancient Hopi Star Lore.
Okay. And we'll also talk about a TV show you're going to be on next year. Chris O'Brien's the co-host. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in
the Paracast.
Are you ready to order the official Paracast t-shirt? You asked, we answered. We're now taking orders for the official Paracast t-shirt. It comes in white, 100% cotton. The front of it features the same logo that we have on our community forums. On the back it says, separating signal from noise. To order the official Paracast t-shirt, here's all you have to do. Visit our new online store at store.theparacast.com. One more time, that's store.theparacast.com. You can use a major credit card to place your order for the official Paracast t-shirt. Hey neighbors, we have one more thing to talk about, and that's more merchandise at the official Paracast store. We have hats, we have jackets, we even have a flip video camcorder customized with the Paracast logo at the official Paracast store. It's all now available at the official Paracast store, store.theparacast.com.
I'm concerned about food for my family in the event of an emergency, and I know you are too. Are you ready? Don't wait for an emergency to happen. Put a plan together now with quality dehydrated food from Ready Reserve Foods. For nearly 40 years, Ready Reserve Foods has been in continuous operation, canning the finest in dehydrated foods. Other companies just broker canned foods. Ready Reserve is the manufacturer, controlling quality from start to finish with double enameled cans and nitrogen packing for maximum shelf life. Ready Reserve offers a balanced selection of fruits, vegetables, dairy products, proteins, and grains. Choose from a variety of pre-selected units or order by individual can to customize your own plan. When you purchase from Ready Reserve Foods, you are buying factory direct at wholesale prices. Call today for a free catalog, 1-800-453-2202, or visit ReadyReserveFoods.com. Call 1-800-453-2202. Ready Reserve Foods. Factory direct, wholesale pricing.
Making the right decisions is a challenge to investors. Are we going to see economic growth, slide into a recession, or at worst, depression? Hi, Ted Anderson from Midas Resources. We all know when a company acts irresponsibly, divesting ourselves in a move towards safety is prudent. When the market becomes volatile, U.S. Treasuries are a safe haven. But what do you do when the U.S. government overextends itself and spends beyond its means? Many investors are turning toward gold as a common-sense alternative to traditional paper investments. Midas Resources has put together a powerful book titled 10 Reasons to Own Gold, discussing costs, benefits, risks, featuring full-color illustrations, weights, and measures. The book is free and can be yours by calling 800-686-2237. Paper investments are dwarfed by gold's 6,000-year history. Discover how gold may be right for you and your IRA by calling 800-686-2237. Whether buying or it's time for you to sell, the book is free. Call 800-686-2237.
Energy. This world has so much energy, yet our bodies are lacking. What if you could tap into something that gave you more energy? What if you could drink a beverage and receive more energy? Well, Life Change Tea is your answer. Our number one compliment is people receiving more energy. And our product is all natural and no caffeine. And think about this. If you have more energy, you get more done. What a concept! If you are desiring more energy and a healthier lifestyle, it's time to drink Life Change Tea. Our name hints to our success. So here's how to order. Call us, 928-308-0408. Again, that's 928-308-0408. Or you can log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. And remember, there's only $3 shipping on your complete order. Again, more energy, more success. That's getthetea.com.
America's #1 source for independent talk radio for over a decade. We are the GCN Radio Network.
You've entered another dimension. You've entered the Paracast.
Ancient mysteries all. We're looking at them to see what has traction, what might be real, what might not be real. Just a tall tale, a fairy tale. Gary David joins us. Chris O'Brien's the co-host. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in the Paracast. Fascinating lines of questioning, Chris. Let's take this further. Go ahead.
Well, one of the things that I remember distinctly last year when I went up to the Shalako ceremonies, which last the better part of a week in December up on the Zuni Reservation, one of the questions that I asked Clifford was how they were able to maintain such incredible precision and accuracy in the handing down of the traditional chants, prayers, and stories. And he said that one of the ways they do it is they skip a generation. It's the grandfather's generation that tells it to the grandchildren, and then the father's generation tells it to his grandchildren. And so they leapfrog through the generations down into time. And this is one of the ways that they're able to maintain this incredible precision and accuracy in these stories. Now, of course, there are different medicine societies, there are different Kachina societies, there's different clan societies, and as Gary pointed out, we do have some variance, I think, from tradition to tradition. But I think by and large, you're dealing with a culture that's very invested in accuracy. You mentioned, Gene, before the break that we were going to talk about some star people, legends and stuff. Gary, one of the stories that has always intrigued me, kind of going back to your comment about the 70s wave in Prescott, was the involvement of the Hopi elder Dan Kachamba. Do you want to talk about him a little bit and then maybe dovetail into some of the prophecies?
Yeah, he's the one that one of the elders, Hopi elders that have brought the prophecies forward. Some of the end time prophecies, you might say, the Hopi end time prophecies. But like I say, he's one of the ones that went to Prescott, Arizona in 1970. and he witnessed some of these craft hovering around Thumb Butte. And there's kind of an internet rumor about, he died in 1972, but supposedly his body was never found. He was last seen walking up a canyon where a UFO had been sighted. So maybe this is just kind of internet stuff. It's hard to say, but that's the rumor, about him. But these prophecies have been coming forth since like the middle of the 20th century. We've been aware, the world at large, I should say, has been aware of these prophecies coming to pass. In 1958, there was a man named David Young. He was a minister, and he was driving around the American Southwest, and he picked up an old Hopi man named Whitefeather, and Whitefeather was from the Bear Clan, and he said that all his sons were dead, and that the Hopi ceremonial cycle was kind of dying off, becoming extinct, and he wanted to pass on these major prophecies that he had foreseen while praying and chanting in the kivas, these visions of the way the fourth world would end, and some of the signs or omens that would signal the end of this era, the end of an age. He said things like there'd be huge beasts come. They were sort of like the buffalo, except they had very long horns. That's one of the signs that the end of the age was near. And, of course, that happened in the 19th century in the American West when the coming of longhorn cattle. He said that there would be spinning wheels with voices in them. That might be interpreted as covered wagons with the spinning wheels that you can see that kind of that visual disturbance that looks kind of like the wheel is going backwards. Another snakes of iron.
Or trucks.
Or trucks. Well, they one of the prophecies of the native end times is that there'll be ribbons, black ribbons spread across the land, and there'll be horseless carriages going across these black ribbons. So that's a pretty striking example of an asphalt highway. Whitefeather said that there'd be a spider web strung across the land. A giant spider web will be spread across the landscape. Of course, you might think of at first telegraph lines, and then maybe power lines or telephone lines, and now, of course, the World Wide Web is a giant web that's spread all over the world. He also said that young people with long hair will come to Hopi land to learn the native ways. And this happened especially in the late 60s, early 70s, when a lot of the counterculture people came out to Hopi land, and sometimes they were at odds with Hopi values and culture because they lived a rather libertine lifestyle, and the Hopi are a very conservative people, and sometimes they didn't mesh with the Hopi ways. But at any rate, these young people were trying to learn the native ways, and this has come to pass. One of the signs was the sea will turn black. And of course, this past summer, in 2010, we had the huge Gulf oil spill.
And the sea turned black.
And the sea indeed turned black. So these signs are all, coming to pass, that we're at the end of the fourth world.
Okay, so all these legends of the end times, it's not just amongst the Indian people, but all across the world. Other religions, the same thing, end times. So are we again seeing this unified message from the same source?
Well, I think, different cultures interpret it differently. There are biblical end times, and from what I understand of Hopi end times, Hopi prophecies, they're very similar. All these earth changes, tsunamis, earthquakes. Were all predicted to come at the end times, and we're seeing this in a lot of different cultures. The Mayan culture, of course, has the specific date of December 21st, 2012. That's the end time. The Hopi are not that precise in saying when the end time will come. Some believe that we're already entering into the fifth world. We're very close to being in the fifth world. I have a friend that lives up on Hopi, and he said that he believes that the Hopi culture ceremonial cycle will be extinct at the end of his lifetime. He's about 50 years old, in his 50s. But by the time his life is ended, the Hopi culture will kind of cease to function as a ceremonial. This whole mass of legends and ceremonies we were talking about before, this will just come to an end because the language is not being passed on the way it used to be passed on, and the ceremonies are not being done. And it seems like the whole ceremonial cycle is breaking down. And the Hopi see themselves as guardians of the earth. They keep the world in balance. And in fact, they have a word, Koyaanisqatsi, which means world out of balance. That's the contemporary world that we're living in right now. And their ceremonies were done in part to keep the world in balance, keep the earth functioning and turning the way it's supposed to, keep the weather, keep the warmth coming to the land so they could grow corn and so forth. And this is all just kind of breaking down. You're having early winters and droughts and so forth, and it's getting harder and harder to be a Hopi up there and live in the traditional manner.
So did the Hopi predict global warming?
Well, they did predict, kind of the earth changes, like tsunamis and so forth, earthquakes.
Earthquakes, especially the next cleansing, according to Grandfather Martin of the Hopi, is going to be the earth shaking or flipping over 4 times when the warrior twins abdicate responsibility for holding Pululukang, which is the great serpent in the earth that keeps the earth in balance in terms of, I guess, its orbit. When they let go, then Pululukang will spasm and the earth will flip over 4 times, according to Martin.
I'll tell you what, we'll have to flip over if we don't do this right away. Or flip out, depending on your point of view.
As I was going to say.
Chris O'Brien's the co-host. Gary David's the guest. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in
the Paracast.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. If you'd like to listen to GCN programs on the go, I have great news. GCN has created a Droid and iPhone application, and it's free. Just as easy as going to GCNlive.com, click on the banner, and download. Before you know it, you'll be listening to your favorite hard-hitting GCN shows, live or on demand, right on your Droid or iPhone, 24/7 and on the go. So download the Droid and iPhone app free by clicking on the banner at GCNlive.com. Thanks again for listening to GCNlive.com. Again, that's GCNlive.com. Hi, this is Ted Anderson. Have you ever wondered why banks, stockbrokers, investment advisors won't talk about gold IRAs? They've been available since 1986, yet the financial industry won't recognize the value of gold for your retirement. Gold has outperformed paper investments, yet no word about IRAs. If you would like to have gold for your retirement, call 800-686-2237. Don't get left behind by rising inflation and low returns. Call 800-686-2237. Secure your future and call 1-800-686-2237.
Welcome back to the Paracast, the gold standard of paranormal radio. And now, here's Gene Steinberg.
Gary David joins us on the Paracast this week. I'm Gene Steinberg. Chris O'Brien, who's the real expert of our dynamic duo on all these legends. You know, one of the things that this TV show is going to explore, ancient prophecies, is Nostradamus. Now, are you into Nostradamus too?
Just on a peripheral way. You know, I'm not heavily into Nostradamus, but I'm more into the native prophecies and that, but I think it goes along with what the elders have been saying, or we found out since like the mid 20th century, when they started to come forth and talk about these prophecies, because they realize that this is the end of an age, and it's time to enter into a kind of a new world. And this fifth world, there are some good things about it. It should be a world of peace and harmony and respect for Mother Earth, respect for the ways of the Creator. But there's going to be a time of purification.
Yeah, why don't you talk about that and the return of True White Brother?
The one of the signs, one of the end time signs that the Hopi have seen is that a blue star kachina called Sakwasohu will appear in the heavens. A blue star will appear in the heavens, and a particular kachina related to this blue star supposedly will take off his mask during a ceremony, which is simply not done. And it's rumored that this has already happened. It's hard to say, and it's hard to say what the blue star is. There's some speculation that it was Hale-Bopp comet back in 1997. It had this beautiful blue tail on it. Comet Holmes in October of 2007 has been speculated as being the blue star. It's hard to say what it is, but they say that after the blue star arrives, a red star will also come, and it's Paha Sohu is the red star, and this is a purifier. This will purify those that are not living in the ways of the Creator. So I think humankind will undergo a great purification period, and we might be in this already. The earth, we're seeing huge forest fires in Israel just in the past week. We're seeing all these earthquakes and tsunamis and so forth. The earth is being purified, and the human race is being purified in order to enter into this fifth world.
Well, what about True White Brother? What do you know about the return of the bringing together of the Hopi sacred tablets?
Yeah, the Pahana, the elder white brother, or the true white brother, you say, he's kind of like a Quetzalcoatl figure. He was there at the beginning of the age, and he took a part of a stone tablet. It's the Fire Clan tablet, and he took an edge of this tablet and broke it off and carried it with him back to the east. So in a lot of ways, he's like the Aztec god Quetzalcoatl, who said he would return during the end of the age. Also like the Mayan god Kukulkan, the same sort of figure as
right, Viracocha.
Viracocha, exactly. You have this. A lot of these native cultures have this same myth of this god coming, interacting with them, and then going back to the east, but saying that he will return at the end times to purify the people. And he'll come, as he's said to come, with a red coat or red hat. Something red is involved with his coming, and this might be part of the red star that's going to purify the people.
Yeah, either that, or if Palin gets in, she'll probably do a good job purifying our sensibilities.
Well, that's a whole other matter. The 2012, maybe that's the end of the Mayan calendar, is when Sarah Palin gets elected president. That'll signify
you
the
betcha.
end.
2012. Wanted to ask you this, Gary. The 2012 Mayan legends, any connection with all this stuff?
Well, the Hopi had a trade network established with the Maya. In fact, the Maya used to come up here and bring parrots and macaws, the birds, bright feathered birds, and they used to trade for especially turquoise, because there are a lot of turquoise around the Chaco Canyon area that were distributed there, and so there was a trade network with the Maya. So I'm sure that the Hopi were in touch with the Mayan way of thinking about the end time, the end of the age. So they undoubtedly had this similar belief that the fourth world was going to soon end, and the Maya have an exact date. There's in my book, in the last chapter of my book, I talk about the only inscription that contains the date of the 13th Baktun, which is the end of the long count calendar of the Maya. And this is at a place called Tortuguero. It means the land of the turtles. And on this inscription, it says, on this date, December 21st, 2012, 9 lords of the underworld will descend in darkness. And this will come to pass, and then the passage breaks off, unfortunately. So we don't have what's going to happen. But these 9 lords of the underworld will descend in darkness. That's kind of an ominous forecast.
So this, of course, is just a few weeks after the 2012 presidential elections.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's pretty ominous in itself.
We had Don Alejandro came up. He's one of the few true Mayan timekeepers from the highlands of Guatemala, one of the few that'll travel, and he got in front of this big audience at the Creative Life Center here in Sedona of all these New Agers, and he literally was laughing at everybody, saying, "Oh, you white boys think you got it all figured out and that you know what Mayan prophecy is and all this." He goes, "It's not going to be an exact date. It could happen tomorrow. It could happen, in 3 years, 4 years. We're in that time period." Yeah. But he gave a very cryptic warning. He said, if one day you wake up and the sun does not rise, he said, close your windows, lock your doors, and no matter who comes to your door or window, do not let them in. And he said that there will be 48 hours of darkness. So there's a little clue for y'all out there. Y'all.
That is pretty ominous.
There's another clue for y'all. The walrus was Paul. All right, so I think, the people who look for physical realities and physical evidence. So how do we nail this stuff down? We have the prophecies, we have the Bible, we have Nostradamus, we have the Hopi, the Zuni, and all these legends. How the heck do we nail it down?
Well, you have
with a hammer.
You have to go intuitively, I think, Gene. You just, whatever your, expertise is or your interest is, mine is specifically, the Hopi of the American Southwest. But, if you want to follow biblical traditions or Hasidic traditions or, Nostradamus or some of the other prophets through the ages, that's, you gotta follow it, because there's no set map that you can follow to get us through this time period. It's
except just, the similarities with what all these races claim. Remember to check out our forums, forum.paracast.com, forum.paracast.com. Please sign up, but more important, get involved with our friendly crew over there. We have Gary David. The co-host is Chris O'Brien. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in
the Paracast.
For 58 years, Fate has provided true reports of the strange and unknown. Fate brings you the latest in all aspects of the paranormal, like angels and miracles, psychic phenomena, ghosts, UFOs, and much, much more. To receive your complimentary Fate magazine, call now at 1-800-728-2730 or visit their website at www.fatemag.com. That's 1-800-728-2730. What are you waiting for? Your fate awaits.
Hi, this is Tamar from Namecheap. We're a domain name and web hosting company, and we really care about our customers. With domain name purchases, Namecheap offers free SSL and free WhoisGuard for a year to protect your identity from spammers. Most importantly, we care about you. If you'd like to learn more, please visit us at radio.namecheap.com, radio.namecheap.com for web hosting and domain name specials. You can also follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/Namecheap or become a fan of ours on Facebook at facebook.com/Namecheap. See you online.
Have you ever felt like the United States government knows way too much about your financial affairs? I continue to hear stories about property seizures, frozen bank accounts, confiscation of stocks and bonds. It makes me wonder if the U.S. citizen will ever again have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Unfortunately, with the Drug and Money Laundering Act, the IRS Revenue Ruling 6045 of 1984, and the Trading with the Enemy Act and Franklin D. Roosevelt's Executive Order of 1933, some precious metal holdings are subject to government intervention. For this reason, Midas Resources has prepared a report explaining the boundaries of trading precious metals privately. Whether if you have any intention of trading with Midas Resources or not, I have instructed my representatives to give this report out free. Call for your free copy at 1-800-686-2237. When investing, always proceed with caution. Again, call 1-800-686-2237. Exercise your legal right to trade metals privately. 1-800-686-2237.
Becoming a modern smoker is now easier and more cost-effective thanks to LeSig. Traditional smokers the world over love LeSig. E-cigarettes with a look, feel, and taste of real cigarettes, but without the nasty smoke, ashes, or stains. LeSig is powered by revolutionary microelectronic technology. A small rechargeable battery and unique replaceable cartridge provide all the satisfaction and benefits of smoking without the smoke and all the hazards. See the large variety of LeSig e-cigarette supplies and accessories at LeSig.com. That's LECIG.com. LeSig is competitively priced, comes with the best customer service, a 30-day warranty, and satisfaction guaranteed. What a great gift idea. For a 10% discount, mention GCN when you call 870-518-4307. That's 870-518-4307. Ask for fast, free same-day shipping. Order online at LeSig.com and use promo code GCN at checkout. That's LECIG.com. LeSig, for today's modern smoker.
Attention shoppers, please stay in line. You must be scanned and searched before entering the mall area. Attention, you must disrobe and pass through the scanner at mall security before entering the building.
Hey, most GCN listeners know that the future of Christmas shopping may quite well be that scary. And while we're not there yet, as shoppers, we still face terrible traffic, crazy lines, and even crazier shoppers. But this year can be different. You can still opt out of the craziness and do your shopping off the grid by going to offthegridchristmas.com, where you'll find our new Christmas video featuring an amazing assortment of truly hard-to-get gifts. Gifts you simply won't find in stores. These are gifts that can help anyone on your list become better prepared for the hard times ahead. And here's the best part. Prices have been slashed until December 15th. This year, opt out of the lines. You won't get fined. You'll get great discounts on all kinds of off-the-grid gear by going to offthegridchristmas.com. Go to offthegridchristmas.com. That's offthegridchristmas.com.
Are you tired of searching for great talk radio?
Something more important.
Search no more. We are the GCN Radio Network.
We want to hear from you. If you have a comment or question about the Paracast, send it to news@theparacast.com. That's news@theparacast.com. And don't forget to visit our famous Paracast community forums at forum.theparacast.com. Get in on all the action at forum.theparacast.com.
We're in the final few segments of our session with Gary David, and he's someone who became intrigued by the American Southwest since going there 23 years ago, and he's looking for evidence of all sorts of unusual things. Chris O'Brien's our co-host on the Paracast. I understand, Gary, what you're saying in terms of following our own path. But if all of these legends came from single sources, there has to be one path that diverged, but they still take us to the same destination.
Well, I'm not sure whether it's, multiple sources coming through the ages. waves of different entities coming down to Earth at different times, giving different information to different cultures. Like I said, I don't think there's a one source that disseminates everything. There might be a number of different entities coming through. The ant people are different from the Greys. Different entities are coming in and giving us certain information. So you just kind of have to, work intuitively and use your nose to kind of sniff out which way the wind is blowing. Really, it's a tough time to be alive because there are no set pathways that you can take to get to the truth with a capital T. There are a lot of truths out there, plural, but you have to put it together in your own way, worldview, and your own way of looking at the cosmos,
and honor it.
You got to follow your bliss, as Joseph Campbell said.
Well, let's look at what the physical scientists are going to call for here, though, which is, okay, if ET was here, regardless of how it's interpreted, okay, let's talk about the core reality. How do we come back to that core reality in terms of archaeologists looking for physical evidence, traces of some kind of visitation, maybe the presence of such creatures today? How do we pinpoint that? Is it possible, or are we left with just legends, prophecies, and the need to find our own direction?
Well, you have legends and prophecies, but you do have this physical record of rock art, which I'm very interested in. These are carvings and paintings on cliff walls. You see some of these beings on these cliff walls. I've seen some just here in northern Arizona. They're very strange creatures, and you wonder, these are not just fancies or imagination of these people that they wanted to kind of depict a weird creature for no reason at all. I think that these were actual, entities. It might be physical, might be interdimensional, that they encountered in these early times, and they wanted to put this in stone, to carve it in stone, so they could tell their ancestors about what they were seeing. So it's not merely legends passed word of mouth, but we have a large record of rock art, petroglyphs, pictographs, that tell the story as well.
Yeah, and we're getting more and more proficient at reading them, too. We had Ron Reguer on the program recently, and he's writing a book, actually, that's kind of a primer on how to look at petroglyphs and what some of the figures mean. He's done quite a bit of research with Native peoples and is slowly assembling a pretty much like a dictionary that explains what these figures mean and, more importantly, how they're placed in relation to one another, which then conveys an advanced message or even a story. One of the things that I've always found intriguing and compelling is that I'm pretty sure that Native peoples, even though they have told us a lot about their prophecies and their sacred knowledge, I think that they're holding back quite a bit of information for whatever reason, probably because if they let it out and we found out about it, it'd freak us out, is my guess. But I think we need a disclosure project, like an exopolitical project, to get the natives to fully divulge some of the prophecies, and I think they are holding some very important keys back away from the rest of the world. What is your take on that, Gary?
That's for sure. They're holding back, but they're divulging at the same time, because there are so many different factions fighting each other on a lot of different reservations. But right now at the Hopi, they're talking about changing the Constitution, the Hopi Constitution.
You mean like the Republicans and the Tea Party people?
Well, yeah, it's that kind of struggle. But
that's a big deal right now.
They're trying to take away the rights of individual villages for autonomy and to govern themselves. And they're trying to bring it all together and have the tribal council, which is part of the Bureau of Indian Affairs, kind of rule over all the villages. And a lot of the spiritual elders that I've come across, they say this would be a very bad thing if it came about, that they'd lose their ability to govern themselves as a particular village.
Where do you want to go with it, Gary?
Like I was saying, there are so many different divisions among the Hopi themselves. Some want to divulge, some want disclosure of the Hopi prophecies and the entities that visited them. Run into other Hopis just clam up, will not speak. They're very polite. The Hopi are always very polite people, but some of them do not want this information going out to the world at large. So there are different ideas among the Hopi themselves.
So basically, they want to be the beneficiaries of whatever wisdom there is, and the heck with everybody else.
Well, they have been exploited, like a lot of Native American tribes, for over a century. There was one, I forget his name, one ethnographer in the early part of the 20th century that would just burst into a kiva unannounced and would just disrupt everything. They've endured a lot of these anthropologists coming to their reservation and trying to just study them like they were just they were the last of the tribe, the Ishi, the last of the tribe.
It's all the New Agers coming up there.
Yeah, going up there and just and started in the late 60s, early 70s, just trying to oppose their own lifestyle on the Hopi and not really trying to learn from them, hang out with them, I guess.
And cherry pick their knowledge for their own purposes.
Exactly, and you see a lot of that among the New Agers. It's a smorgasbord of wisdom from various cultures, and the Hopi don't want to be a part of this. They don't want to just divulge their knowledge and have it warped. I've seen various television programs that have kind of warped the Hopi way of thinking and the Hopi knowledge and just sensationalized it. They don't want to be a part of this kind of exploitation of their culture, and it's understandable.
Well, one thing that I must say, and I do urge all our listeners to pick up Gary's books, The Orion Zone, The Kivas of Heaven. You also have a very interesting book on the apparent Masonic underpinnings of the town or the city of Phoenix, Arizona, which is probably a subject of a whole show right there. I mean, gosh, that book is a mind blower as well. But
you mean there's something here that I should know about?
Oh boy, Gene, you're right in the middle of it, and if we told you, I don't know if you could handle it.
Yeah, the Phoenix is a Masonic city, and I found a Masonic worship site right next to an ancient Hopi site, which is near Winslow, Arizona, believe it or not. So the Masonic influence is really strong here in Arizona, and that's in my book, Eye of the Phoenix. You can get all those through Adventures Unlimited Press, also online at Amazon and the different bookstores, so Barnes & Noble and so forth.
So forth and so on. Gary David joining us. I'm Gene Steinberg. Chris O'Brien is the co-host. You're in
the Paracast.
Is there a secret UFO agenda? Do strange creatures from the darkest corners of the mind roam the Earth? Is there evidence for mind control, time travel, or devious government conspiracies? Find out the inside scoop on the latest conspiracies, paranormal activity, and Fortean phenomena when you subscribe to Tim Beckley's Conspiracy Journal. It's jam-packed with stories, special book and DVD promotions, and the best news, it's absolutely free, sent right to your mailbox. Plus, a bonus free email newsletter sent out every Friday. Simply send an email with your name and address to Mr. UFO at webtv.net. That's Mr. UFO at webtv.net. Find out what they don't want you to know.
Is it really possible to get out of debt without payment plans or attorneys? 18 years ago, we developed a program that has made thousands debt-free in just 90 days. It's called Zero Debt in 90 Days, and it works for all credit card debt, medical bills, even collection lawsuits.
When I first joined, I was being sued, so I used the program methods, and after filing one piece of paper, the collection lawsuit was dismissed.
With Zero Debt in 90 days, your success is guaranteed in writing. There is no other program of its kind. Don't be alone when creditors gang up on you. Let our team of experts provide the resources to fight back and stop creditors in only 90 days, guaranteed. Prevent wage garnishments, bank levies, and stop collection calls with our proven program. Call Zero Debt in 90 days now, 800-477-9256, and ask for free information from an expert who also completed our program. 800-477-9256 or ZeroDebtGuaranteed.com. 800-477-9256 or ZeroDebtGuaranteed.com.
Where have all the military surplus stores gone? Don't worry, you don't need one, because everything you need at military surplus is at mainemilitary.com. That's M-A-I-N-E military.com, one of the last surviving true military surplus stores in the country. Go online now to mainemilitary.com and discover a source for hard-to-find surplus items at true surplus prices. Surplus gun cleaning kits as low as $2.99. Complete chemical suits as low as $11.99. See our huge selection of gas masks, filters, and accessories. Finish and M10 gas masks are 3 for $30, and Swiss filters are 3 for $12. Searching for Strike Anywhere matches? MainMilitary.com has them, plus a whole new product line of survival and first aid kits and lots more. Get free shipping on orders over $50 only at MainMilitary.com. That's M-A-I-N-E military.com, or call 877-608-0179, 877-608-0179. MainMilitary.com, the main name in military supply.
Fight back this cold and flu season with the world's best garlic extract, Ali C. Why Ali C? Because it helps your body fight viruses, bacteria, and fungi. Ali C has been scientifically proven in double-blind studies using low doses to greatly reduce the number, severity, and duration of common colds. Ali C contains 300 milligrams of stabilized allicin, the active ingredient in crushed garlic. Studies show Ali C is effective against MRSA, bacterial, fungal, and viral infections. One tablet of Ali C has the equivalent of 40 cloves of garlic. Ali C supports your body's resistance to all types of conditions and can help lower high blood pressure and high cholesterol. So boost your body's resistance to infection with nature's best garlic extract, Ali C. For more information and to order Ali C, call 877-888-7126 or go to garlichealthproducts.com. That's 1-877-888-7126 or go to garlichealthproducts.com for your Ali C today.
The GCN Radio Network, providing the world with hard-hitting talk radio. GCN. Great talk radio starts here.
You're in the Paracast. You never know what's going to happen next.
From the Hopi Indians himself, Elder O'Brien. No, it's the Irish Indians, I think.
Hey, it's the Paracast, it is.
And it sounds like you're doing the talk like a pirate, you know. Arg.
Arg.
Yeah.
Well, supposedly the pirates and the Skull and Crossbone, they were Templars and Masons.
Hey, you know, I'll ask about that. You raised the question, if anybody has any wisdom about that. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in the Paracast. Gary, so have you explored the Masons, the Templars, all these strange societies out there?
Well, I've explored it in terms of, the American Southwest. There was a fellow named Darrell Duppa. He's buried in the Masonic section of the Pioneer Cemetery right in Phoenix, Arizona. And he's the one that named Phoenix. And Phoenix is a mythological bird that rises from its ashes, and it has a lot of Masonic resonance with the symbol of the Phoenix. So, this has come into play very early. The Goldwaters, of course, were Masons. Barry Goldwater was a Mason. This is very strong in the Phoenix area, in the Prescott area, and like I say, there are Masonic symbols carved in the rocks of northern Arizona, and you can see these.
Oh yeah, give us some examples. That's interesting. I bet you people didn't know that.
This one site, has a Venus symbol and a kind of a lot of Masonic symbols right next to a Hopi ruin site. That's a small Hopi ruin site near Homolovi ruins, near Winslow, Arizona. The Masons went out there and built their worship site, and they erected a huge Christian cross. You can see it from the interstate if you drive along I-40, this huge cross on top of a mesa. And you go up there, and there are all these columns that they had erected, and this huge amphitheater that they put up. And this was done in the 30s, the 1930s. But, it's very strange because it's right next to this ancient Hopi ruin site with a bunch of these petroglyphs, these rock art symbols. The checkerboard symbol, there's a checkerboard, and of course the checkerboard is found on every Masonic temple in the world. That's a primary symbol of, the Hopi say it's the Milky Way, but it's light and dark, and the struggle between light and darkness as far as the Masons are concerned.
Well, Gene, so what do you think of them apples?
Well, I don't know. I just want to kind of get to the bottom of this and nail it down. And the other question would be, of course, with all the people who are looking for some kind of disclosure about UFOs, about some kind of endgame realization of what all this means, where can we take this? Because we're down to the remaining, 17, 18 minutes of this episode. And I know our listeners are going to look for some kind of end game. So what kind of end game can we acquaint them with? 2012, maybe it's going to happen. Maybe it's wrong. What?
Well, 2012 is just one day, and I don't think the world is going to end on that date. Some people think that we're in a 2012 era. We've entered into the era, and it lasts about 30 years. When the winter solstice sun aligns to the galactic axis or galactic center, and this is the first time it's happened in 26,000 years. But it's a period of time, 25, 30 years that this change that will take place, gradually, not you wake up one day and the world will be totally changed. It's an ongoing process throughout our lifetimes, and you just have to, like I say, follow your own nose, follow your bliss, and just try to find what interests you in various native cultures that have this early wisdom. In the Masonic tradition, you can research that, and you learn about the Phoenix rising and so forth. So it's
most importantly, you got to do your own research. You have to get motivated. Sure, shows like this can expose you to really wonderful, thought-provoking topics, but we're only licking the tip of the iceberg here, listeners, and you really have to dive in, read the books, do your own work. Don't pretend like you know just because you've licked the iceberg. It doesn't work that way. You really have to dive in. Gary is a shining example of a highly motivated individual that does really well-researched work, and there's no substitute for that. And I really want, at this point, I want Gary to know that I really appreciate all the hard work that he's done in this archaeoastronomical subject area, and I think it's important for people to really get themselves up to speed. Don't you think, Gene? That's why we have the Paracast forums, right?
Discuss it, to ask the questions, but also understand you're not going to get the physical reality when you expect it.
Generally not.
Yeah, you have to. I follow my own obsessions. Like when I discovered, a dozen years ago, when I discovered this Orion template on the Arizona desert, I said, "That's amazing. It's just like in Egypt, except it's even more precise in certain ways than the Egyptian Orion correlation." Right here in Arizona. How did that happen? And how did the Hopi know this? And, I just was, trying to figure out, what's going on here with this obvious, it can't be, I don't think it can be a coincidence that the Orion constellation is projected on the Arizona desert in the form of all these villages that line up where they're supposed to be. You can go to my website, theorionzone.com, and click on a link called Maps, and you can see this correlation between Orion and the ruin sites and village sites that the Hopi have laid out on the desert, on the Arizona desert. And it's just astounding, this correspondence between the two, between the earth and the sky. So, I'm just have been obsessed with this kind of, it's almost a quest to find out, how this was done.
So there you go, Gene.
Okay, well, you satisfied everything for me. Now I know what to do. But I guess the big question is whether I could look in the skies and think that ET is going to come down there, or can I think that with all the tens of thousands or possibly millions of UFO sightings, whether the proof is going to be coming? Is the story out there, the truth out there? Are we going to see proof? Are the ETs going to be back? And that's, of course, part of the legend here. Are we seeing just them communicating with the spirit of E.T., maybe in another dimension or something, that the physical presence is no longer here?
Well, I think the physical presence has manifested right over the city of Phoenix, the Masonic city of Phoenix with, in 1997, the Phoenix Lights. And, our former governor, Fife Symington, swears that this is an extraterrestrial craft that, he personally saw. And, in fact, I just missed, I'm probably the most unlucky UFO.
Flew right over you.
Listen,
right
folks, I was living here and the Phoenix Lights occurred, and I was at home in my office writing a book about technology. Nothing to do with UFOs. So I didn't see it either. I missed the whole thing. And, this is something, by the way, I mentioned with Leslie Kean about Governor Fife Symington is, first he makes a joke of it, then he says it's real. But, the guy was basically thrown out of office for legal reasons, and had to be pardoned by former President Clinton. So, the guy is not Lily White.
Well, thousands of people did see the Phoenix Lights. I missed seeing it by a couple minutes. I was out in the yard playing with my daughter and her playmate, and we went inside, and they were playing chess, and I didn't have any radio on or anything. And it flew right over the town of Chino Valley where I live, and then it flew down to Prescott, and then very quickly flew down to Phoenix.
Yeah, and it flew right over. It went right down I-10. I was in a motel watching the NCAA finals that night. I had just been out looking at Hale Bopp. I went inside, and it evidently flew right over the motel. I missed it. It was at its lowest point.
Thousands of people did see it, because it hovered over Indian School Road and 7th Avenue or something like that. Right. It hovered there for quite a while, and thousands of people saw it, and hundreds videotaped it. But I missed it, and some of my neighbors saw it, and they said they were very scared because it was so big. The craft was so huge going across the sky.
I'll tell you what. We'll go into the craft and all the other stuff in a moment. Gary David's our guest. Chris O'Brien, the co-host. I'm Gene Steinberg. You're in
the Paracast.
Are you ready to order the official Paracast t-shirt? You asked, we answered. We're now taking orders for the official Paracast t-shirt. It comes in white, 100% cotton. The front of it features the same logo that we have on our community forums. On the back it says, separating signal from noise. To order the official Paracast t-shirt, here's all you have to do. Visit our new online store at store.theparacast.com. One more time, that's store.theparacast.com. You can use a major credit card to place your order for the official Paracast t-shirt. Hey neighbors, we have one more thing to talk about, and that's more merchandise at the official Paracast store. We have hats, we have jackets, we even have a flip video camcorder customized with the Paracast logo at the official Paracast store. It's all now available at the official Paracast store, store.theparacast.com.
Question. What would you rather drink? Acidic water, which burns holes in your body and causes loss of bone mass? Or alkaline water, which promotes high energy and vibrant health? The answer is clear. And if you're drinking acidic water, you're helping cancer cells and bacteria to grow out of control. AlkaVision Plasma pH Drops combine a unique formula of the most alkaline minerals. Using Plasma pH Drops is the best way to alkalize your water and help you get rid of acid and regain your health and energy. Simply put 10 drops in the water you drink to raise the pH to a healthy alkaline level. Most experts agree that the water you drink should be at a pH level of 8 or higher. Disease organisms like bacteria, viruses, or cancer cannot survive in an alkaline high pH environment. Order your bottle of AlkaVision Plasma pH Drops now by going directly to alkavision.com. That's ALKAvision.com. Or by calling 269-409-1776. Again, 269-409-1776.
All types of batteries for all types of gadgets. We'll say it again. all types of batteries for all types of gadgets. Electronics, toys, flashlights, computers, accessories, and more are at BatteryStation.com. Whatever type battery you need, alkaline, lithium, gel cell, NiCad, metal hydride, sealed lead acid, and more are at BatteryStation.com. Our homepage gives you quick access to ham, marine, police, fire, and aviation batteries. Plus, choose from our great selection of LED flashlights with no bulb to ever burn out and much longer battery life. Find many top brands including Streamlight, Pelican, Surefire, Novitec, Gerber, and more at BatteryStation.com. You'll also find the most popular brands of ammunition and watertight cases for storing guns, food, electronics, survival gear, and more at BatteryStation.com. Call 417-257-7799. That's 417-257-7799. You will be surprised when you visit BatteryStation.com.
In a coming apart world, you need something to keep it tied together. That something is Atwood Rope, the highest quality rope made in the USA, from exotic braids for military, rescue, arborists, shipyards, tow line, or boating. Quality rope at affordable prices you and your customers can depend on. Find a dealer or shop online at atwoodrope.net. Enter promo code RADIO to receive 100 feet of 550 paracord free with purchase. Atwood Rope, working to keep the world tied together.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. Have you ever wondered why banks, stockbrokers, investment advisors won't talk about gold IRAs? They've been available since 1986, yet the financial industry won't recognize the value of gold for your retirement. Gold has outperformed paper investments, yet no word about IRAs. If you would like to have gold for your retirement, call 800-686-2237. Don't get left behind by rising inflation and low returns. Call 800-686-2237. Secure your future and call 1-800-686-2237.
On air, online, and on demand. We are the GCN Radio Network.
You've entered another dimension. You've entered the Paracast.
And by the way, some of you have asked about what happened to Nicholas Redfern, one of our co-hosts. Well, he's been involved in a big project, not involved in any way with UFOs or the paranormal field. But he also has a new book on NASA conspiracies, so he'll join us real soon now. We're going to be wrapping it up soon with Gary David, looking into ancient mysteries and how they might impact us in the present day. I'm Gene Steinberg. Chris O'Brien's the co-host. You're in the Paracast. Let's look at this further. Okay, so we have the Phoenix Lights, just another UFO case, though? Or do you think it signified anything more?
It might have come from Area 51. You never know. It came from that direction. It was first sighted in Henderson, Nevada, and then it was next sighted in Paulden, Arizona, 5 miles north of me, and then Chino Valley, and then Prescott. A pilot at the Prescott airport said he saw this craft. He was in a small Cessna or something like that, and it took up the whole windshield of his airplane, in size. That's how big it was, and then finally zipped down to Phoenix in a matter of minutes. Where it takes at least over an hour to get down to Phoenix. It takes 2 hours to get down to Phoenix from where I'm at. It went there in just a matter of minutes down to Phoenix. So it's hard to say whether it's one of ours, Black Ops projects from Area 51, or whether it's extraterrestrial. I don't know. I haven't.
If it's one of ours, I know why the Cold War is over.
Well, yeah.
So you don't think it had any real major, let's say, important sort of prophetic importance or anything like that? It would just happen to be a big old ship happened to trot out over the fifth largest city in the country. Thousands of people saw it, and then it just disappeared down by Tucson somewhere.
The Hopi say this is part of the end of the fourth world, where these craft will start appearing in the heavens at a greater pace. So we're seeing these all the time. Certain people are. I'm not, but I'm kind of unlucky that way. And it's part of the Hopi prophecy to see these things.
My screenplay has an ending of a Native American elder on an Indian motorcycle riding up a ramp into a flying saucer, and it takes off. That's my big ending.
Chris,
Oh, I blew it. Oh, I should have given it away.
This is a spoiler. You got to change the ending now.
Oh, no. I like the Indian motorcycle. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's actually pretty fun. That's what I've been working on today, so it's kind of stuck in the backside of my frontal lobe here.
All right, let's look at some of the things you've been doing and worked on. Now, all these legends you've talked about, you've talked to the Indian elders and everybody else, Gary. What kind of actual work have you done in trying to nail it down yourself and doing your research?
Well, I've spent a lot of time up on the reservation, going to Kachina dances and talking to various people, talking to Grandfather Martin, who's from Haute Villa. That's the third mesa. He's one of the last remaining spiritual elders up on the Hopi reservation. He's in his 80s now, and he's very interested in what's going on in the world today as we speak. He's a traditional elder, but he also likes to go see the movie Avatar. I heard somebody took him to the movie Avatar, and he got a big kick out of that. But so he's kind of in both worlds, trying to disclose some of the information that he knows about, and about the Prophecy Rock, which is up on the reservation, and another petroglyph right beside it, which looks very much like a saucer or a craft, some kind of flying shield, as the Hopi call it. It looks very much like this. So he's trying to divulge this sort of thing. But there again, the Hopis, some you talk to, they clam up right away, and they won't say anything about the traditional ways. So you more or less, if you go up to the Hopi reservation, it's a very welcoming place, and there's a motel up there you can stay at, and there's a traditional restaurant on Second Mesa you can go, and a small museum. So I would suggest that people just go up there and just kind of look around. You just put your camera away, because they'll take your camera and they won't give it back.
So basically, they are wary about us.
Oh yeah.
There are some signs outside of villages and saying no white people allowed. You've seen that at the Kachina dances.
Yeah. So sacred dances are off limits on some of the mesas. Yeah.
So they basically want to go around saying that maybe they're the one true people, that they're exposed to the truth, and we don't care.